We must fill our minds with cheerful, positive thoughts. Our thoughts make us who we are. Our mental attitude is the X factor that determines how our life will turn out. Our life is what our thoughts make of it. The biggest problem we have to deal with is choosing the right thoughts. If we can do that, nothing can stand in our way. If you fill your mind with happy thoughts, you'll be happy. But if you fill your minds with miserable thoughts, you'll be miserable. But if you think fearful thoughts, you'll be fearful. If you think sickly thoughts, you'll get ill. If you think about failure, you will certainly fail. Or if you wallow in self-pity, people will shun and avoid you. So we have to be careful what we are thinking. Jane Tracy said, "You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are." The great French philosopher Michel de Montaigne claimed that a man is not hurt so much by what happens as by his opinion of what happened. And your opinion of what happened is entirely up to you. It's up to you to interpret whatever happened to you in a positive light rather than a negative one. It's up to you to develop a mental attitude that will bring you peace and happiness. So think and act cheerfully, and you will feel cheerful. And count your blessings, not your troubles. If you want to be happy, you should focus on 90% of the things that work well in your life and forget the 10% of things that don't. Anytime you're worried, anxious, or stressed, just try asking yourself, what the hell am I worrying about? You'll realize that in most cases, the thing you are worrying about isn't really that important. The American fighter Ace Eddie Rickenberg, after drifting with his companions and life raft for around 21 days near the Pacific, he realized that if you have all the fresh water you want to drink and all the food you want to eat, you ought never to complain about anything. I'd like to share one more story. Harold Abbott, Dale Carnegie's longtime lecture manager, almost hit rock bottom in his life. The grocery store that he ran got closed. He also got himself in a huge amount of debt that would take years to pay off. Then one day, while walking to the bank like a defeated man full of worries, grievances, and self-pity, he came across a man without legs who was otherwise cheerful and confident. So this brief encounter made him realize how lucky and wealthy he actually was. And as a reminder, Abbott pasted the following words on his bathroom mirror: "I had the blues because I had no shoes, until upon the street I met a man who had no feet." According to Logan Parasol Smith, there are two things to aim at in life. First, to get what you want, and after that, enjoy it. And it's interesting to know that only the wisest of mankind achieve the second. But the fact is, you do not necessarily need to get what you want in order to enjoy life in the first place. The habit of seeing the bright side of life and appreciating what you already have can bring you more joy than all the money in the world. So friends, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. That is what a wise man do. But the fool does the exact opposite. When life hands him a lemon, he gives up and complains and indulges in self-pity and blames the world for his misfortune. But when the wise man is handed a lemon, he asks himself, what can I learn from this? How can I improve the situation? How can I turn this lemon into a lemonade? After spending lifetime studying people, the great psychologist Alfred Adler observed that one of the most impressive characters of human being is the power to turn disadvantages into an advantage. Harry Emerson Foster said, "Happiness is not mostly pleasure, it is mostly victory." The victory that comes from a sense of triumph, of accomplishment, of solving problems, of turning lemons into lemonade. Countless successful people such as Beethoven, Milton, Van Gogh, Darwin, or FDR succeeded because they started out with some serious handicap or disadvantage. that spurred them onto great endeavors and great rewards. As William James said, our infirmities help us unexpectedly. The most important thing is life isn't to capitalize on your gains, but to profit from your losses. If you ever feel like you don't stand a chance of doing something, then you must try anyway. Because one, you may actually succeed. And second, even if you don't succeed, the mere attempt to turn the loss into a profit will cause you to look forward instead of backward. It will replace your negative thoughts with positive ones. It will release creative energy and spur you to get so busy that you won't have the time nor the inclination to cry over what's done and gone. So put enthusiasm into your work. Vanishing boredom is essential for happiness. And effective way to do that is by making things interesting, approaching everything you do with passion and enthusiasm. Boredom tends to produce far more fatigue than physical exertion. Joseph E. Barmack conducted a study which revealed how boredom induces fatigue. Dr. Barmack put a group of students through a series of tests in which they had little interest. As a result, the students felt tired, sleepy, irritable, and complained of headaches and eye strain. But all these effects vanished as soon as they started doing something interesting. And an important point to note here is that this was not just a placebo effect. Dr. Barmack's report showed that man's blood pressure and oxygen consumption drops below the baseline when he's bored, and that the whole metabolism picks up immediately as soon as he begins to feel pleasure or interest in his work. If you are a mental worker, it is often the work that you don't do, not the work that you do, that makes you tired. Let me try to explain this. Think of a day when you were constantly interrupted at the office. For instance, appointments broken, no emails answered, trouble here and there, no progress whatsoever. Everything went wrong that day. You accomplished nothing, and yet you went home exhausted and with a massive headache. The next day, everything clicked at the office. You have been way busier and accomplished much more than you did the previous day. Yet you went home feeling energized and refreshed. Our fatigue is often caused not by the work, but by the boredom, frustration, worry, and resentment. So friends, try to find more interest in your work. How can you become more interested in your work? Well, you can turn it into a contest either with yourself or with your colleagues. For that matter, make sure you set some goals and reward yourself anytime you achieve them. And another important point is, everyone talks about the importance of physical exercise, but some spiritual and mental exercise are just equally important to stir us into action. Talking to yourself every day, using affirmations to fill your mind with positive, powerful thoughts, and expressing gratitude for the things you cherish, you can make any job less distasteful. Your boss wants you to be interested in your job so that he can make more money. But forget about what the boss wants. Think of what being interested in your job will do for you. Reduce your chances of exhaustion and maybe earn you a promotion and a higher salary. It may double the amount of happiness you get out of life, since you spend about 1/2 of your waking hours working. So by managing our thoughts, or by practicing creating good thoughts, we can open new doors of happiness and success. We can achieve whatever we want: peace of mind, good health, amazing energy. David Schwartz, in his book, The Magic of Thinking Big, tells that we need to upgrade our thinking in order to upgrade our life. Before we achieve big things, we have to think big things. In his eyes, success has very little to do with intelligence, having rich parents, being lucky, or whatever. He claims that success is determined not so much by the size of one's brain as it is by the size of one's thinking. Successful people are not extraordinary people. They are ordinary people who have learned to think differently. So believe in yourself, believe you can succeed, and you will. Without believing in ourselves, we cannot be happy and successful. Insecurity and feeling of lack of something in ourselves prevent us from getting what we want. So first of all, we have to find out the specific reason due to which we lack self-confidence. This will not happen in a day or two. The process takes time, but we need to work on it. For example, you have an elder brother who always used to get 90% marks, and you could hardly secure 60% marks. Then at the very young age only, you were convinced that in life you can never be as successful as your brother. But this is not true. There are many people who could not get very good marks in school and college, and they are on the heights of success today. So with full faith, tell yourself, I can do everything with the strength given by God. I'm positive. I can attitude generates energy needed to achieve everything. When you believe I can do it, the how to do it develops.